There's something happening in the SUV world right now that most people still haven't noticed, and the 2026-27 Jeep Grand Cherokee might be the perfect example of it. SUVs are no longer just getting bigger screens and slightly sharper headlights every year. Some of them are evolving into something completely different, smarter, more refined, more connected, and this new Grand Cherokee feels like Jeep finally decided to stop playing safe. Because this isn't just another update. This feels like Jeep quietly built one of the most futuristic SUVs in its class without making a huge scene about it. Welcome back to Drives, where we go deeper than the surface and talk about what actually matters in modern cars. And trust me, once you start noticing the details on this new Grand Cherokee, it's hard to look at older SUVs the same way again. Starting from the backside, the first thing that hits you is how premium and modern this SUV suddenly feels. Jeep kept the recognizable DNA, but the rear design now looks cleaner, wider, and way more upscale than before. That full-width LED light bar stretching across the rear instantly changes the personality of the vehicle. It gives the Grand Cherokee a futuristic road presence that honestly reminds me of high-end electric SUVs like the R1S or even certain Range Rover models. At night, this thing doesn't just look good, it looks expensive. The rear tailgate design feels more sculpted, while the lighting signature creates this bold visual width that makes the SUV appear lower and more planted on the road. Jeep clearly wanted the Grand Cherokee to look more refined without losing that rugged personality people love. And honestly, I think they nailed it. Even the rear bumper design feels more aerodynamic now. Everything flows together smoothly instead of looking overly bulky like some older Jeep generations. Now let me ask you something. Do you think modern SUVs are becoming too futuristic, or do you like this cleaner and more high-tech design direction? Because Jeep seems fully committed to it here. Now moving over to the left side profile, this is where the transformation becomes even more obvious. The proportions feel more athletic than before. The SUV sits with a wider stance, sharper body lines, and a much more confident posture overall. It almost feels like the vehicle is leaning forward slightly, ready to move even while parked. That's hard to achieve with a large SUV. The wheel arches are more muscular now, housing larger and more sculpted wheels that give the Grand Cherokee a serious road presence. Depending on the trim level, some versions honestly look like they belong in the luxury SUV category. And the side profile reveals something else important. Jeep is clearly thinking about efficiency now too. The smoother body surfaces, cleaner airflow management, and more integrated door handles suggest this SUV was designed with aerodynamics in mind, not just off-road toughness. That's a huge shift for Jeep. Because traditionally, Jeep's focused heavily on ruggedness first, but this new Grand Cherokee feels like it wants to balance capability with modern refinement in a way previous generations never fully achieved. Compared to rivals like the Land Cruiser or Ford Explorer, the new Grand Cherokee now looks more sophisticated and almost European in certain angles. And honestly, I didn't expect to say that about a Jeep. Now let's move around to the right side, because this angle really highlights how cohesive the entire design has become. The shoulder line runs cleanly from front to rear, giving the SUV a very upscale silhouette. Nothing feels overly busy or exaggerated. Jeep seems to have focused on making the Grand Cherokee feel mature instead of flashy. And that's probably the decision they could made. A lot of modern SUVs try too hard with fake vents, unnecessary creases, or oversized grilles. This Jeep feels more controlled and intentional. The glass area is also better integrated into the design, making the cabin appear larger and more open. Combined with the strong roofline and balanced proportions, the SUV now has a commanding road presence without looking aggressive for no reason. Honestly, if you parked this next to a BMW X5 or in Q7, I don't think it would feel out of place anymore. That's how far Jeep has come with this redesign. And here's a question for you guys. Would you actually choose this Grand Cherokee over a German luxury SUV if the pricing was close? I think a lot more people might say yes than you'd expect. Now stepping inside, this is where the biggest evolution happens. The moment you open the doors, it immediately feels like Jeep completely reimagined the cabin experience instead of just updating the dashboard. The materials are noticeably more premium now. Soft touch surfaces cover almost everything, while the stitching details and layered dashboard design create an environment that feels modern without becoming cold or overly. There's still warmth and character here. The digital setup is also much cleaner than before. Jeep reduced unnecessary buttons while keeping important controls accessible, which honestly feels like the perfect balance. Some brands are removing too many physical controls lately, and it becomes frustrating during real driving. But the Grand Cherokee seems designed around usability first. The curved display stretching across the dashboard looks sleek and futuristic without feeling distracting. The infotainment system and driver display blend together naturally, creating a cockpit that feels advanced but easy to understand. And here where things get really interesting. This SUV doesn't just react to you anymore, it learns from you. The system can reportedly adapt to your daily habits over time, adjusting seat positions, climate settings, navigation preferences, and driving patterns automatically. That's the kind of technology we usually expect from luxury EV brands, not traditional SUVs. And honestly, that makes the Grand Cherokee feel ahead of the curve. Ambient lighting also transforms the mood inside the cabin during night drives. Instead of flashy nightclub-style lighting, Jeep used subtle illumination to create a calmer and more premium atmosphere. It genuinely feels like a space designed for long-distance comfort. Rear passengers benefit too. Improved legroom, better connectivity features, more charging options, and a smarter cabin layout make the SUV far more family-friendly than before. And cargo practicality still remains strong, which matters because this is still supposed to be a real-world SUV people can live with daily. That balance between luxury and usability is probably the biggest strength of this redesign. Now let's talk about what defines every Jeep, the engine and driving experience. Under the hood, the 2026-27 Grand Cherokee is expected to offer a refined lineup of turbocharged and electrified, focused on balancing performance with efficiency. And honestly, that's exactly where the SUV market is heading now. The turbocharged engines should provide smoother acceleration and better fuel economy, while hybrid versions bring instant torque that makes everyday driving feel quicker and more responsive. But the important thing is this: Jeep hasn't abandoned the identity of the Grand Cherokee. It still feels capable. It still feels strong. And it still feels ready for rough terrain whenever needed. The suspension system has reportedly been reworked heavily, delivering a more composed ride quality, both on highways and uneven roads. The SUV absorbs bumps more smoothly, while still keeping the driver connected to the road. That's not easy to achieve in a large SUV. Some competitors lean too heavily towards softness and become floaty. Others focus too much on sporty handling and sacrifice comfort. The Grand Cherokee seems to land right in the middle. Balanced, comfortable, confident. And that balance is exactly what makes it appealing. Steering response feels too, making the SUV easier to maneuver despite its size. Whether you're navigating city traffic, long highway drives, or rough, the vehicle feels more agile than previous generations. And yes, off-road capability remains part of the package, because at the end of the day, this is still a Jeep. Now let's talk pricing, because this SUV is entering one of the most competitive segments in the entire automotive world. The expected pricing for the new Grand Cherokee will likely position it directly against vehicles like the Land Cruiser, Ford Explorer, Palisade, Telluride, and even entry-level luxury SUVs from BMW and. But here's the interesting part. The Grand Cherokee now feels like it combines pieces of all those competitors into one package. It has the rugged reputation of the Land Cruiser, the practicality of the Explorer, the technology focus of the Palisade, and some of the premium atmosphere you'd expect from luxury brands. That combination could make it one of the strongest value choices in the segment. And honestly, Jeep might finally have an SUV that appeals equally to traditional buyers and younger tech-focused customers at the same time. That's not easy to pull off. Now for the final verdict. The 2026-27 Jeep Grand Cherokee doesn't feel like a simple redesign. It feels like Jeep quietly redefined what the Grand Cherokee should be for the next generation. This SUV isn't trying to shock people with extreme styling or gimmicks. Instead, it improves nearly every part of the experience in subtle but meaningful ways. Smarter technology, better refinement, more premium design, improved comfort, and still enough capability to remind you it's a Jeep. Honestly, this might be one of the most complete SUVs Jeep has ever built. And if this is the direction Jeep continues moving in, the SUV market is about to get very interesting. So now I want to hear from you. Would you actually buy the new Grand Cherokee over something like the Land Cruiser, Ford Explorer, or BMW X5? Or do you think Jeep still has something to prove? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and follow Drives for more future car reviews, SUV comparisons, and the latest automotive reveals coming your way.